Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Manchester United's offer for Frenkie de Jong expires as the Dutchman turns down a 70 million switch to Old Trafford. This is according to Marcel van der Kraan. Now, not so long ago, it said that Man United were confident of landing Frenkie de Jong by the end of this week, and it mentioned as well that Man United agreed a deal with Frenkie de Jong's agent. Chelsea are also in for de Jong. Throughout the course of this summer, Manchester United have been trying to get Frenkie de Jong. It has been a long-running transfer saga. Erik Ten Hag wants a reunion with the player. Ten Hag worked with Frenkie de Jong at Ajax. He is a versatile midfielder. De Jong has been at Barcelona since 2019. He's under contract with Barcelona until 2026. Barcelona got him from Ajax in a deal worth 65 million. Now, I want to give you some news on Jamie Vardy. So, Manchester United considering move for Jamie Vardy. Recently, Caught Offside said that Man United are ready to offer Jamie Vardy a 1-year deal. Vardy is the age of 35. He's at Leicester City. He's been a long-serving player at Leicester City. He's been at Leicester for around a decade. He joined Leicester back in 2012. He's made over 300 appearances for Leicester and he's scored over 100 goals. Vardy's contract at Leicester expires next year. When Leicester got Vardy, they got him for 1 million. Before, Vardy played for Fleetwood Town, before played for Halifax, and before played for Stocksbridge Park Steels. And when he was a lot younger, he played for Sheffield Wednesday. You know, he came up Sheffield Wednesday's academy. Don't forget, at Leicester, Vardy's won the Championship and he's also won the Premier League. Man United are also in for Adrien Rabiot. I heard that Adrien Rabiot's transfer to Man United has been confirmed. Man United have agreed a 15 million fee. Revert back to the other week, the Athletic said that Man United were working on signing Adrien Rabiot from Juventus. Juventus got Rabiot on a free transfer from PSG, and before, Rabiot endured 2 loan spells with Toulouse. Man United are confident of making more signings before transfer deadline. So far this summer, Manchester United have made 3 signings. Man United signed Tyrell Malacia from Feyenoord. Got him for around 13 million. Malacia is under contract with Man United until 2026 as an option of a further 12 months. We also signed Christian Eriksen on a free transfer. When Eriksen officially signed, he signed a 3-year contract. And Man United also signed Lisandro Martinez from Ajax in a deal worth 57 million. Martinez is under contract with the club until 2027. There's an option of a further 12 months. So this summer Man United have spent around 70 million. Let me put into the equation that Man United have let players go as well this year. We loaned Dean Henderson out to Nottingham Forest. Lee Grant left earlier on this year. Not so long ago, Tellez went out on loan to Sevilla with no buy option. Well, I said Tellez was going to go when Man United officially signed Terrell Malacia. Matic, of course, left Man United. He went to Roma, so he's reuniting with Jose Mourinho. Paul Pogba, earlier on this year, left Man United on a free transfer for the second time. He made a return to Juventus. Jesse Lingard, of course, left Man United when his contract expired back in June. Lingard went to Nottingham Forest on a free transfer. Manchester United let Juan Mata go on a free transfer as well. When Juan Mata was at Man United, most of the time he was classified as a squad player because he didn't get in the team much. Mata was a long-serving player at Man United. He was at Man United for around 8 years. You know, Mata did have a good career at the club. We also let Edison Cavani go on a free earlier on this year. Manchester United also sold Andres Pereira to Fulham. And we let quite a few young players go. More players are on their way out of the football club. Brandon Williams is on his way out of the club. He's recently been injured. Revert back to last season, he was out on loan with Norwich. Phil Jones, he's on his way out of the club as well. Phil Jones is not one of our first choice centre-halves. He's only made like 3 or 4 Premier League appearances since January 2020. At one point, Jones was out with a knee injury for a while. His contract at the club expires next year. Jones has endured 11 years at Manchester United, so reflecting on that, he's been a long-serving player. Been with us since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. Eric Bailly, I think he's on his way out of the club as well. He's not one of our first choice centre-halves. He's a good centre-half, is Bailly, but my element of concern about him is injury-prone. Manchester United got Bailly from Villarreal back in 2016, paid around 30 million. We brought him in under the Mourinho era. In fact, it was the first signing that Mourinho made as Man United manager. Bailly's got like 2 years left on his Man United contract. Tuanzebe, got to say, he's on his way out of the club. Last season he was out on loan with Aston Villa. He's enjoyed 3 loan spells with Villa. I think Man United need to get rid of Harry Maguire. He could leave next year, Maguire. Obviously, he's still Man United captain. Erik ten Hag has faith in him. Revert back to last season, the vast majority of Man United fans were demanding for the captaincy to be taken off Maguire because Maguire is not a leader. Maguire has been at Manchester United for around 3 years or so. We overpaid for him, got him in a deal worth 80 million. He's the most expensive centre-half in the world at the moment. Delors, I think he's on his way out of the club. Delors has appeared to be our first choice right back under Ten Hag. He was also our first choice right back under Ralph Rangnick. Delors' contract at the club expires next year. At one point, he had a loan spell with AC Milan, and reflecting on that, he gained some experience. We got Delors from Porto. Man United paid around £19 million for him. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I think he's on his way out of the club. I heard he could make a return to Crystal Palace. Well, he was at Crystal Palace before he came to Man United. You know, I don't think Bissaka's good enough, you know. His attacking ain't good enough, his crossing's not good enough, his positioning's not good enough, you know, that all needs to improve. But on the other side of things, I think defensively most of the time he's been very good. We did get on Wan-Bissaka in a deal worth 50 million. Lindelof, I think he could leave the club as well next year. I think he'll stay for this year. Man United got Lindelof from Benfica back in 2017 in a deal worth 31 million. Lindelof is under contract with Man United until 2024. Fred, I think he'll leave as well next year. You know, he's not good enough to represent the club. Fred has played a lot of games alongside Scott McTominay in the centre midfield, and quite clearly Fred and McTominay do not complement each other. And a lot of pundits and a lot of United fans have said we won't win another league title with Fred and McTominay in the centre midfield. You know, now, you know, Fred and McTominay should not be our first choice midfielders. They should be used as backups. You know, in the midfield now, you could go with Eriksen, Martinez and Fernandes. Or you could even use Fred, Eriksen and Fernandes, you know. But revert back to Fred, Man United got Fred quite a few years ago from Shakhtar Donetsk in a deal worth 50 million. I'd say Manchester United need to sell Anthony Martial. Martial has recently been injured. To his credit though, Martial, he did really well throughout pre-season. Scored quite a few goals. Revert back to last season, Martial was out on loan with Sevilla. Martial has been at Manchester United for around 7 years. Got Martial back in 2015 from Monaco. Got him for around 36 million. At the time we got him, he was the most expensive teenager. The best season he enjoyed at Man United was his debut season under Louis van Gaal. Now I'm hearing that Erik ten Hag is ready to let Cristiano Ronaldo leave Manchester United. I heard that Ronaldo's contract could be terminated, and then I heard Manchester United denied that they're going to terminate Ronaldo's contract. Ronaldo's contract at Manchester United expires next year. There's an option of a further year. Manchester United re-signed Ronaldo last year from Juventus. So Ronaldo's been his second spell at Man United. Since he re-signed, Ronaldo scored 18 goals in the Premier League. He has 24 goals in all competitions. Revert back to Man United's final pre-season friendly against Rayo Vallecano. Ronaldo left before the end of the friendly. So that's the suggestions that, well, Ronaldo missed the vast majority of Man United's pre-season games due to family reasons. But a number of clubs have been in for him. Ronaldo played last weekend against Brentford. He was very poor. He came on in the game against Brighton as well, but didn't start. You know the news regarding Marcus Rashford. Not so long ago, Man United did insist that Marcus Rashford is not for sale. It did say that PSG were interested in signing Marcus Rashford. RMC Sport did say that PSG had begun discussions for Rashford, and PSG value Rashford at around 60 million. Rashford hasn't enjoyed the best of starts to the Premier League season. Revert back to pre-season, I thought Rashford did alright, he scored some goals. Rashford is a good young player overall, but a lot of United fans, including me, have said he's not been the same player since he had that operation on his shoulder. He missed the first 2 months, was it, of last season with that shoulder problem. Rashford has been part of the club for a long time. He came up our academy. He's been a United player since the age of 7, and he broke into our senior squad back in 2016. Since then, he's made over 300 appearances, scored 90-odd goals. Rashford's contract at the club expires next year. So there you go. Manchester United have endured a terrible start to the Premier League season. Man United have lost their first 2 league games. Man United got thrashed last weekend to Brentford 4-0. And Man United lost their opening game at Old Trafford to Brighton 2-1. Man United are bottom of the league with 0 points. Eric Ten Hag, he's enjoyed a bad start to his managerial career at Man United, but, Ten Hag is totally blameless for the poor performances. It's the players that have to take responsibility, and the board are partly to blame as well. Eric Ten Hag, like I've already mentioned, is a very good manager. I've got faith in him. Don't forget, this is the first ever time that Ten Hag is managing in the Premier League. And like I've said before, the Premier League is totally contrast to the Dutch League. You've got to admire what Ten Hag did at Ajax, because when he was at Ajax, he won Eredivisie titles, he won Dutch Cups. And revert back to 2019, he got Ajax to the Champions League semi-finals. Ten Hag was the Ajax manager for around 5 years. Before, Ten Hag managed Utrecht, Bayern Munich's reserves, and Go Ahead Eagles. Let me put into the equation that, Ten Hag is inheriting Deadwood. And the vast majority of this squad's not his. There's only 3 players that are his, and they're the 3 players he brought in this year. And Ten Hag knew, when he first got appointed in that he knows he's got big expectations to exceed at Man United. He is our 5th permanent manager since Ferguson. He's under contract to Man United until 2025. There's an option of a further 12 months. We've definitely got to get the Glazers out of Manchester United. They've been one of the biggest issues at the club for a long time. For a while now, the vast majority of Man United fans have been protesting against the Glazers, and Man United fans are planning a protest against the Glazers ahead of the game against Liverpool at Old Trafford next Monday night. The Glazers have been at Manchester United since 2005. So they've owned the club for around 17 years. They did purchase the club for around 500 million. Now, the news on Michael Knighton. Not so long ago it said Michael Knighton was preparing a bid to buy the club from the Glazer family. Revert back to 1989, Michael Knighton tried to buy Man United, but he failed as he aborted a 20 million bid to buy the club. Michael Knighton is well known for his involvement with Manchester United and Carlisle. At Man United, we've also got John Murtaugh, he's our Director of Football. We've got Richard Arnold, who's our CEO. Richard Arnold, of course, replaced Ed Woodward when Woodward resigned. We've got Benny McCarthy at the club. We've got Steve McLaren and Mitchell van der Gag at Man United. They're working alongside Ten Hag. Well, Eric Ten Hag was the one that recommended them in. And not so long ago, Sir Alex Ferguson came back to Manchester United in an advisory role. You know, Sir Alex Ferguson is the former Manchester United manager. You know, we've got to accept that no one's going to replicate what Ferguson did at the club. Alex Ferguson is the greatest manager of all time. When he was the Man United manager, he won over 30 trophies, including 13 Premier League titles. So reflecting on that, he brought success to the club, but Ferguson didn't settle in straight away because he didn't win out in his first 4 years at Man United. Alex Ferguson was the Man United manager for around 27 years. So reflecting on that, he enjoyed a long managerial tenure. Alex Ferguson retired almost 10 years ago. So there you go. We have seen 5 managers leave Man United since Ferguson. That was Moyes, Louis van Gaal, Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and earlier on this year, Ralph Rangnick left Man United. So now guys, that's everything to update you with. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very soon.